Hey everybody, before we get into the meat of this video, I do want to let you know that we get into some sensitive topics on this one because the owner and CEO founder of Safe Haven Baby Boxes, i.e. the baby box that is being installed in Murfreesboro right now, agreed to come on a Zoom with us and discuss the baby box and what it's for and all the stuff around it. And so we do touch on some sensitive topics. So I just want to let you all know before we get into this. So if you are sensitive to those type of things, you may not want to listen to this one or watch this. Just giving you a heads up. So now on to the show. There, now we're recording. Okay, we're going. So for everybody watching this video, this is Miss Monica Kelsey. Thank you, Monica, for joining us on the Zoom today. Really appreciate it. And you are the founder of the baby boxes. You started the whole thing. And I just, if you don't mind, just a real quick, brief background on you and why you started this and all that sort of stuff. So just have at it.
So I'm the founder and current CEO of Safe Haven Baby Boxes. And I started Safe Haven Baby Boxes for a couple of different reasons. I'm a retired firefighter and a medic. Prior to that, I was in the United States military. So I've always been on the front lines defending. And
Okay.
so learning, though, at the age of 37, that I was also abandoned as an infant kind of sealed the deal for me as to why I needed to do more for women and children in this country. And so I got the amazing opportunity when I was 37 years old to meet my biological mother.
Wow.
And it quickly became the best and the worst day of my life because I had no idea that I was abandoned. And so meeting her, though, gave me the empathy that I needed to work with women that I do today.
Yeah.
And I actually found her by mistake, that's a whole nother episode in
Oh,
itself.
wow. Okay. Yeah, no kidding.
But and being a firefighter and a medic, and knowing the safe haven law was in this country for the last 20, years, I knew that there was a disconnect, though, with the culture that we have today.
Okay.
25 years ago, when the safe haven law was enacted, it basically said that you can walk into any fire station or hospital, surrender your child, and walk away, no questions asked. Well, if that's been around for 25 years, then why are we still having abandoned babies?
Yeah.
And so I launched Safe Haven Baby Boxes, and here I am. We blessed box number 213 today. 213.
Whoa. Okay.
And we're in 16 states now, which is just so cool. I just wanted to save a few babies in Indiana, and now here I am trekking all over the world, saving the lives of these kids. So how blessed am I?
That's amazing. Do you know about how many babies you've saved so far along the way?
So in the box, we've had 43, and we've had 148 handoffs. So almost 200 women have come through our program in the last 8 years.
Wow. Okay. That's amazing. So here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, where you'll be out here soon, blessing another box. But what box number is that total for Murfreesboro?
I don't know where they're going to fall in the mix because we give them a number, when we bless it. So when we bless it, it'll have a number. But I would say with Murfreesboro already being in the wall, I'm going to say you're probably going to be 220, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, because you've got more in the works, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we got.
That's awesome. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I can't wait for that. And it'll be nice to meet you in person for that when you come on down. Yeah, we'll be there for that. But it's actually funny. One of the gentlemen involved in the one here, that was a very big reason for this happening here. The reason he got involved was because he lives in the town where you did the very first baby box, and he remembers the news on the story with the first baby. And when he saw what we pushed this out there, they contacted us, and he basically said, whatever you need, you got it. And it was like, oh, done deal. So just a really cool side story there. But yeah, I know when we make posts about this stuff, obviously there's a lot of misinformation I know that goes around about the purpose of these things. And so kind of wanted to address that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
But obviously the purpose of the baby box is to save babies.
Lives,
yeah. And to give parents a place, I'm gonna let you take over, actually. So, for the baby box, the purpose of the parents and what it does for everybody. So,
well, the Safe Haven law was enacted to keep babies out of dumpsters and trash cans. So our number one focus should and always has been on the infant first.
Got it.
Parents come second. And it should be that way because the Safe Haven law wasn't there to protect parents. It was to protect the child.
Got it.
But of course, if we can help the mom, we want to do that. people I think get this wrong all the time where they're like, well, we're just forgetting about the mom, and that's not true at all.
Yeah.
We have a strict protocol when a baby is placed in our box, when we start trying to reach a parent that wanted to be anonymous, but we want to get resources to her if she'll allow us to.
Yeah.
But in this country, if she doesn't want medical care in this country, she doesn't have to take it. And so it's completely in her court. It's in her court whether she contacts us or whether she identifies herself or whether she wants medical care, whatever.
Hmm.
But we always try to reach out to give her the help that she may need.
Hmm.
And another misconception that I get all the time is, you know, where people say, we're just allowing women to get rid of their responsibility.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the very first thing that I just said is our first priority is these babies.
Yeah.
That's why the law was enacted. And so if I'm accused of making it easy for a parent, but saving the life of a child, I'll
Yeah.
take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, there you go. Because I saw numerous comments online of people, just people that I think were just misinformed or don't, like you said, don't understand the purpose behind these things. Like they're saying, well, you're just allowing them to get rid of the babies. And yeah, and I just to be blunt, there have been instances here in the news, years ago where a baby ended up in a dumpster, or they found a baby, unfortunately, was not alive because the parent didn't have a place to have to put the baby. There you go. And so these baby boxes are designed for that, right? So, and then you also offer, if you don't mind, describe the box itself, because it's you put resources in the box, and there's it's monitored and all kinds of stuff. So how's that work?
Yeah, so the box actually has 3 alarms on it, and the
Okay.
parent doesn't have to do anything. All they have to do is walk up to the baby box, open the door, place their infant inside, shut the door, and walk away. That is all they have to do.
Okay.
Um, and the box is calling 911 on its own. So
Okay.
there's a door alarm, there's a baby in box alarm, there's a heating unit on the inside, so it's not cold in this box. I get
Okay.
that all the time too. Is
Yeah.
oh, they're gonna freeze in there? No, they're not.
Okay.
Um, and then there's also a power off alarm, because if this box loses power, it's no good with no power. So
Mhm.
we have to lock the box if we lose power. And so there's safety features of this box that we want to make sure is in place in case anything happens. As firefighters and medic, we always, train for the worst and hope for the best. And
Mhm.
so I took my knowledge as a firefighter and a medic, and I put that into this box. So we train for the worst,
Yeah,
but
I
we
got you.
train for the best. And so, but there's an orange bag on the inside, and this is actually the number one TikTok question that I get all
Oh
the
yeah.
time. Is one, why is it orange?
Mhm.
It's like
Okay.
what? And then
That's the
two,
question you come up with. Why is it orange?
yeah, yeah, and it's interesting too. I'm like, well, if a mom is there at 2 o'clock
Mhm.
and the orange bag falls out and it's black, do you think she's going to be able to see that black bag on the ground? It's like, no.
Yeah.
So we chose orange because of that. But
Mhm.
the orange bag has resources for her,
Okay.
which is medical care, counseling, trafficking information if she's being trafficked,
Okay.
um,
Yeah.
also what to look for after giving birth. This is the part that I don't think people get is these babies, people are like, well, what about a birth certificate? What about this? What about these babies that we are getting are coming with placenta still attached.
Oh
These
wow.
are hours old infants
Oh
um,
God.
that are going to go in a dumpster or a trash can or in one of our boxes.
Mm.
They're not born in hospitals.
Yeah. Oh,
And so in this orange bag, there's a what to look for after giving birth, like hemorrhaging and infection. And so we want to make sure that we can get those resources into her hands if we can. Now, about 75% of the parents that surrender in our boxes take the bag. Some of
okay.
them don't. And that's okay. That's their right. But we do want to make sure that she gets the help that she needs so that she can that she can find peace with this decision that she's made.
Yeah. I'm just curious, do you ever have instances where, like you said, in a case where she's being trafficked, or if there's something, if she's being coerced, if the parent's being coerced, do you have instances where the parent has come back trying to get the baby? And what do you do if that's the case?
We've had that happen once.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, and so the Department of Child Services obviously is involved. They're going to do a DNA test to ensure that this is the parent,
Okay.
because nobody knows at that point when a baby's placed in our box. And then they do an investigation to make sure that this baby is going back to a parent that is equipped to take care of this child. Because what we don't want is to find this child abused or dead sometime in the
Yeah.
future because we didn't do our due diligence
Yeah.
today.
I got
But that parent that came back, she was, it took her a few months to get her child back because she had to handle some stuff for herself to make herself healthy. But she was awarded custody of her son. And so
Okay.
that's a good story.
Yeah, that is a good story. And do you follow up with a lot of the cases that come through? Do you keep track of them and see how they're doing, that sort of thing?
I do, and
Yeah.
that's probably the best part of my job. Well, and also these moms.
Hmm.
So I am I call myself their friend
Hmm.
because I truly try to be their friend.
Hmm.
They don't need a counselor sometimes. They don't need a medical professional. They just need a friend to talk to.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these parents that surrender in our boxes become my friends. And so
Okay.
I'll get a text from some of them where they're like, "Hey, just just checking in," or and I'll send back. Like the last week, I got a text from a mom that her baby turned 2. And
Oh,
she
wow.
said, "Happy birthday." And she said the name of, of this baby. And
Yeah.
I sent back balloons and stuff because it is a celebration. She knows that this child's safe. She knows that this child's healthy with a new family, but it's just kind of our way of being friends and for me to, just kind of be there for her
Yeah.
when she just needs a friend to talk to. So it is the best part of my job.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. The side of your job's got to be incredibly rewarding. I can only imagine, and the babies that you're saving. Oh my gosh. Like just thinking about it, that's amazing. So, and speaking of the babies, like what's a lot of the questions I saw come up then when we posted originally was, well, once the baby's in the box,
Mhm.
what happens?
So it depends on the state statute. So I
Okay.
don't control where these babies go, the
Mm.
state does. And so some states allow for adoption agencies to take control of these infants, and some they have to go to the Department of Child Services. The majority of them do go to the Department of Child Services.
Okay.
That's something, and I'll tell you, I'm not a fan of the Department of Child Services. I've been very vocal about not being a fan of the Department of
Mm.
Child Services, but I can't control where they go. I have to try and change the laws.
Okay.
And so in Indiana, I was successful in getting the law changed to where these babies can be placed with the Department of Child Services or with an adoption agency. But then when you get into the adoption agency part of things, that's $1 billion business. And I'm not in the business of selling infants. And so
Yeah.
I have a whole issue with the adoption industry that's happening in this country. And so I have a lot that I want to fix, but I'm only one person, so it's going to take me a little bit of time.
So you're a one-man wrecking crew right now? Do you have any help at all over there? Or?
But we have 11 employees.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. But it all started
But
with you, right?
yes, yeah, in my den, in my
And you
den.
did.
Yeah, and here I'll show you. This is not very many people get to see this,
Oh, yeah,
but
what's that?
this is the Delta napkin that I 37,000 feet in the air is where
No
this
way.
came to light, and so I even have a ketchup stain on it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
You should frame that, put it on the wall or something.
I know. Well, I got
That's
to put it on something, but I just keep
yeah,
it in a baggie for right now. But yeah, we have 11 employees, but we also build the boxes here too. So we have a whole
yeah.
production team back there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was lucky enough to see the box when it got delivered here. And then I saw the hole in the wall. I haven't seen it actually in the wall yet. I got to go over there and check it out. But that was there's something when I actually, it's one thing to talk about it, but when I actually physically saw it, it was almost kind of surreal. And just I remember there were a couple people around us and our camera guys and stuff, and it just got quiet. And everybody's
Mhm.
like, "Wow, we're looking at this box. It's going to save lives." And it's it's very unassuming box in the package, and then you're like, wow, this thing's saving babies. Oh my God, it's really cool what you're doing. I love it. So
Well, thank
um,
you.
I know when we did the post, we've actually had several other surrounding cities and like councilmen reach out like, hey, how can we get one here? I'm like, you need to talk to Safe Haven, us. So, but
You're
yeah,
going to be our biggest advocate down there in Murfreesboro.
hey, I'm telling the amount of support that y'all had when we made that initial announcement about trying to maybe do a fundraiser, that sort of thing. So many people reached out. So many. We did a fundraiser, we did this, we did that. We had business owners reach out. Like I told you, the one guy, and I'm gonna keep him anonymous for this one, but he was like, let me know what you need. No problem. He got it. And he was the main reason why this all got started, and it was just the amount of support was really cool to see. And so love what you're doing. Love what you're doing. So
Well,
we're
I
going to
think
be your big advocate.
well, thank you. And I think people are so hungry for
Mhm.
change
Yeah.
and for good stories. I mean, we turn on the news right now and it's just this
Yeah.
country is
Oh
well,
yeah.
to tell you
Yeah.
deal with the news every day,
Yep.
for us to have these good stories of these lives being saved,
Mm-hmm.
these birth parents making a choice and us supporting them, and
Mm-hmm.
then an adoptive family getting a call that there's a baby available for adoption. I mean, it's like a win-win. Now, is it without pain? No, a birth mother's going to go through some pain,
Yeah.
but everyone wins here.
Oh
Everyone
yeah.
wins. There is no losers in this situation. I mean, the birth mom does have to, again, it's gonna be painful, but so is adoption,
Yeah.
you know, and so it's I think people are just, wanting a change and a good story, and these are
Yeah.
good stories.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And speaking of when you said the adoption part, I was surprised at how many people reached out that sent me some, very heart, touching stories about, these, two particular parents wanting to have a kid and they can't. How can they get on the adoption list? They would love to care for one of the babies. Is that something that do they just have to can they go through you guys or they just have to go through the local DC or how does that work?
Yeah, we don't get involved in the adoption
Okay.
process. When Christ called me to this role, he called me to save them, not
Got it.
take them to the finish line. I
I
got
got
to
you.
I have to hand them over to somebody to take it from here. And so we rely on what the state requires.
Okay.
So parent, and I think Tennessee, and I'm pretty sure Tennessee goes through the Department of Child Services. So if somebody in Tennessee wants to adopt one of these babies, which we did have a baby last year in the very first box in
Yeah.
Tennessee.
That's
Um,
excellent.
yeah, and he I think he's going to be at the blessing tomorrow in Knoxville. Yeah.
Nice.
But anyways, yeah, he's been adopted. He's super cute.
Mhm.
Um, but you have to go through the Department of Child Services in Tennessee. You have to become what they call a foster to adopt parent. So you're
Okay.
going to foster first, but you're going to keep this child and then you're going to adopt. So that's why they call it the foster to adopt.
Okay.
It hardly costs anything. So if you do the foster to adopt program, the cost is very minimal. If the baby goes through an adoption agency, obviously you're paying an adoption
Mhm.
agency an enormous fee, and we want to try and avoid that
Yeah.
if we can.
Yeah. And isn't the adoption process really long normally?
It can be, yeah, it
Okay.
can be. We're trying to get it to where it's quicker.
Okay.
These babies, they need to have their name and they need to have their parents. And
Yeah.
so, and as for me, I was adopted. I was put into foster care after I was abandoned, and my adoptive parents got the call when I was 9 weeks old. And so I went to their house. I think I was 10 weeks old when they finally actually got me. And I didn't, I love my mom. My mom is just, she's amazing, but I didn't bond with her. And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's because I wasn't with her, right from the start. And
Yeah.
so I want these babies to bond with their parents. That's important to me. And so if we can get these babies in the hands of their adoptive family day one or day two or day three, that I think is the best outcome for the child.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. I love that. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna throw you a little curveball. There's
Yeah.
I saw this online and this created a frenzy of comments of people that were just arguing back and forth about this one thing. But somebody had made the comment, and I just want to hear how you respond to it. Was you're just tearing families apart. You're just allowing parents to do this. We need more resources to keep the families together. How would you respond to that?
Well, I know who you're talking about. So there is an
Okay.
organization that hates baby boxes, absolutely hates baby boxes
Yeah.
because and these are what we call anti-adoptee people. They
Okay.
don't want adoption. They hate adoption. They want these babies being raised with their biological parents. Well, let me just tell you, as a firefighter and a medic, I have went into many
Yeah.
homes where I have looked around and said it is going to end up very bad for these kids.
Yeah.
And so not every parent is going to be a good parent. And so we have to allow these family or these parents that want something better for their child to be able to do that.
Mhm.
This organization also accuses us of not giving resources. We have a line item on our budget for birth parents.
Oh
And
yeah.
every year we give resources to them. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, it's completely not true. We will support any parent's decision to parent. We will support any parent's decision for adoption, and we will support any parent's decision for a safe haven surrender. And it's interesting too, because we don't make decisions for these parents.
Mhm.
And what those people that are saying, oh, they deserve to be raised by their biological family, and you're just tearing kids, out of their homes and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like what they're doing is they're not allowing these parents to make a choice that's best for them. They're
Mhm.
basically telling them you should be raising this child. That might not be what's best for them. And we have to rely on the parent that had the child to make that decision.
Yeah.
And so we are a firm organization on giving the options and
Hmm.
letting the mother make the choice. And if she chooses a parenting plan, we are going to support her.
Yeah.
I mean, just like the parent that came back after she placed in our box, we
Yeah.
supported her, you know, getting her child back. It's not that we're trying to tear families apart.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep babies safe.
Yeah. Thank you for answering that, because I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there on a personal note. When I saw that, I just wanted to reach through the screen and smack somebody upside the head and be like, "You're trying to help the babies. Stop this crap," but that's just my
Yeah.
personal opinion. So, excuse me.
Well, and you know, it's interesting too because these anti-adoption people, they're like, oh, these kids deserve to know their heritage and they need to know their health information, their medical information. No, we don't. No,
Hmm.
we don't. We need our life first, and then everything else after that follows. If you don't have your right to life, if I was dead in a dumpster,
Hmm.
who cares what my medical information is? Who cares who my parents are or my ethnicity?
Yeah.
We have to look at reality, and reality is a child has a right to life first,
Hmm.
and then we can argue about everything else second. You
I
know,
know. Yeah.
so it's kind of like the abortion debate, you know, and I don't want to get into the abortion debate,
Yeah.
but you know, these people that are for abortion will say, well, if abortion was legal, we wouldn't have abandonments. And I'm like, the states that have abortion up until delivery, you know, you can have an abortion in New Mexico up until the day of delivery.
Whoa.
They have a ton of abandonments in their state. So if that argument was true, they would have no abandonments in the state of New Mexico. And that's not true. They had 3 in the last 2 years. And
Yeah.
those were high profile cases. Who knows how many we didn't find?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Dang. Well, I
You
know.
opened up a can of worms here.
Yeah. Right. No, that's awesome. And I wish we could go longer. I know we want to be cognizant of your time, and I really appreciate it. But yeah, maybe we can go back on round 2 when you get here, in Murfreesboro for the next box. Maybe we'll steal you aside for a little bit. But
We can
um,
do a Facebook or a TikTok live then, if
oh,
TikTok's
totally can. Heck
not
yeah.
down with
Oh,
it.
that would be fantastic. I'd love to. But before we go, I just want to ask, so when you started all this, did you see where it is today with how many boxes you have? And then again, where it is today, what do you see for the future of Safe Haven?
I had no idea that I would be where I am today.
Yeah.
You know, when I went to my husband and I was like, you know, I just want to save a few babies in Indiana. We were finding about 2 babies dead in our state every year. And I
Oh
said,
man.
just save those 2.
Yeah.
Just those 2.
Hmm.
And he's like, yeah, you know, whatever. I don't think he understood how
Hmm.
big this was going to get either. But then when Indiana started saving babies in boxes, other states started looking in. And
Hmm.
then it's like Christ just said, you know, Monica, don't sit down yet.
Yeah. Like, hold on, keep
Done
going.
here.
Yeah.
Don't sit down. And you know, it's interesting too, because I don't know if you follow my page and you know about my son. So my son was in a vehicle rollover accident where his best friend was killed, and they were at a high school graduation party where the homeowner bought booze.
Uh,
And my son decided to get behind the wheel of a vehicle that he didn't own and do donuts in a 19-acre field. And
uh,
his Jeep flipped and killed Casey.
oh
And
no.
you know, I put this out there. I'm as raw and as real as I can get. I try for people to see me,
Yeah.
you know, for people to see me. And when we launched Baby Boxes,
Mhm.
exactly 1 month to the day is when Casey died, when this accident happened. It was almost like the devil was just attacking me at any cost. And
Yeah.
so you know, as a medic, that was my worst nightmare. And as a mom, that was my worst fear.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I worked Casey in the field for 18 minutes and had to call time of death. And then I had to go to my son and say, Casey's gone and it's your fault. And so my son pled guilty and went to prison. And the whole reason I'm telling you this is because I
Yeah.
stopped installing baby boxes and I had to fix my family.
Yeah.
And my son left for prison. We were devastated. You know, my husband's the mayor of our city. This was a really horrible time for us.
Yeah.
And so he was sentenced to 4 years in the Department of Corrections. And so it was 60 days before he was to get out.
Oh man.
And the very first baby came in one of the two, we only had 2 boxes in America at that time. And a
Yeah.
baby came in the box 60 days before he was to be released. And it was almost like Christ was saying, Monica, okay, you've been sitting on your ass for 2 years. Okay. get up. We're not done with you yet. You got
Mhm.
more to do. And so it
Yeah.
was almost like it was just that push that I needed
Mhm.
to continue to move forward. And then six
Yeah.
months later, I installed the third baby box, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
And so it's been a journey,
Yeah.
but how blessed am I to have this
Yeah.
job?
And now you're over 200. Woo, dang.
213.
13, there you go.
Well, I don't even know anymore.
We'll just say 200 plus. How's
Yeah,
that?
we're above 200. I do know
Yeah.
that.
What do you foresee it reaching 1,000 one day, or who knows?
I've always said that I will go where Christ leads me to go. I will
Okay.
be here as long as Christ tells me to do this job. And
Mm.
so, do I think that abandonments are going to happen anytime soon? No. They're happening in every state, and I can't get in some of these states fast enough.
Yeah.
Uh, but if abandonments stop in this country, I will shut the doors of this place and retire and be happy as a pig in shit,
Oh yeah. Great day.
So it'll be a good day when I do that. But,
Yeah.
moral of the story, where Christ leads me is where I'm going to go.
All right. Well, cool. Well, there you go. Well, before we wrap up, if you don't mind, if people want more information about what you're doing, where can they find you through your socials, your website, everything? Just throw it out there.
Yeah, so just go to shbb.org.
Mm.
We're a nonprofit, so if you want to, purchase some tumblers or some shirts or whatever, it all goes to help put baby boxes and stuff in, billboards in,
Mm.
and then of course our big channel is TikTok, at Safe Haven Baby Boxes or at Monica Kelsey. And then on Facebook, between the two, we have about 1.5 million followers, and we're doing education. It's funny too, because I'm sure you kind of get this. You can only report the news so much. You can only show the baby box so much. And so we get out there and we try to make complete jerks of ourselves, and just to try to be funny, just so we can entertain as well. And so it's a good time, but we're trying to change the narrative, and we are successfully doing it.
All right. Yeah, well that's for sure. I know we're seeing it firsthand right here. So, but but I really appreciate you coming on and doing this with us. Really appreciate your time. I know your time is very limited right now, so thank you. But
Yeah,
and then we'll have to hit you up again when you come down to town, when you come into town, so we can get you for that, and we'll do a
I'd be
TikTok.
happy to. I'd be
That's
happy to.
awesome. And I
We'll
really
go,
want
we'll
to,
go TikTok live then.
there you go. And I want to introduce you to the gentleman who I referred to earlier. He'll be there.
What is the name?
It's well, I'll keep it off this. Tell you what, stick around off camera. I'll tell you. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I want to introduce you to him because he reached out personally, was like, hey, and they told me the whole story. I was like, oh, this is great. So, but yeah. So again, thank you for your time and hang out for a second. I'm gonna stop this recording. So, but for everybody watching, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. All the description or everything she said will be in the description if you want a link to the website for more info. And there you go. We're out. See ya.